Wonderful. Hello, my friends. My name is Jim Gale, and I'm coming to you from Central Florida. We are, I believe, relatively well prepared for what is said to be the biggest hurricane in history, potentially. And we're a little apprehensive about it, definitely very thoughtful about it, and asking a lot of questions. Our fallback is the local high school up here. If we think it's a smart thing to do, we will go there. Um, we have all of our own food, water, and energy already on site. So there's my dog running in the background. So if you haven't seen my talks before, I'll give you a quick tour. This rain's already starting. It's going to be raining all day. But this is our food forest. This is the back of one of our solar panels. And we put the solar panels this way. You can see how it's angled like that. We put them that way on the sides of buildings or on top of buildings where there's an angle so the wind can't catch it as easily. And it's still exposed, but it's a lot less exposed than if this building, for instance, would have been on the other side of that, then that would just act as a sail. We also walked into the food forest and we did a lot of pruning, especially the bananas. We probably took about 2/3 of the leaves off of the banana plants because the leaves, and you've seen a banana leaf, they're huge and they act like sails. And 2 years ago, we had a hurricane in October, and these some of our solar panels were newly installed and they weren't secured as well as they are now. And the steel and concrete got ripped up, but the bananas didn't for the most part, right? I just think that's fascinating how powerful and how resilient nature. I mean, literally within days of, we had the hurricane 2 weeks ago or whatever, Helene, and we lost about 8 or 9 banana plants. These stalks, some of them are 15 feet tall. We didn't do any trimming at that point. And we already have new growth coming out of, let's say, the banana plant tipped over at a certain spot. And right out of where it tipped over, there's new growth coming in already. Right. So it's pretty amazing how resilient our natural systems are. Now, that brings up a question. And some of you might get perplexed at me even bringing this up. But there's a lot of people out there that are saying and basically showing how this hurricane, Hurricane Milton, is an unnatural hurricane. And people say, well, what are you talking about? The hurricanes are too big. We cannot manipulate the weather. Well, yes, we can. And there are so many patents that are held by governments mostly on weather manipulation, DARPA and the CIA, and all this that, well, it's truly incredible. And now they have shown over and over again that there's these all of these towers, these 5, 6, 7G towers that are all over the place. They emit frequencies, right? And everything is energy, frequency, and vibration. So when they can control, and some about the ionosphere, when they can control a little bit of heat by shooting their massive microwaves at these certain locations, they can direct and steer a hurricane. Just like, what is that Olympic sport where they take their big rock and they slide it on the ice? And it's a cool name. It's a cool sport. I don't think it's an Olympic sport, but it's an awesome sport. And maybe it is. Anyway, where they slide that rock on the ice, and then the rock is very, very heavy, but is all they have to do to manipulate the direction of the rock is they just sweep the ice a little bit in certain spots. And by sweeping it, you create a pathway, right? So if they can manipulate the temperature in a certain area with frequency and cloud seeding and these different, many different techniques that they're using, then they can take a hurricane that might normally go this way and might kind of release itself, and they can actually make it stronger, and they can direct it exactly where they want to go. Like in this case, Tampa is intended to be, it's on the books as a 15-minute city. These are the New World Order. Well, you've seen the Hunger Games, right? Well, you know how there's different pods, different cities. Well, that's basically foreshadowing or future pacing what they intend to do. They intend to control all of the food. Now, I'm saying this not to create anxiety. In fact, I'm going to give you the solution to all of it here very soon, right? So please stick around to hear the solution to all of this. And it's happening at scale. I've never been so inspired and enthusiastic in my life. Like, it's happening now, my friends. This is good news. So just a little bit more context to it. The Hunger Games is all about hunger, mosquito. And how do they control people? Well, fear and hunger, right? And hunger and fear go together. When people are scared they're not going to eat, they do desperate things. So it's real, my friends. What's happening right now is not a coincidence. And if you're part of Braveheart Nation, you already know that. There's something bigger going on. And at the beginning and end of the day, this is all God's design, right? We are in the mind of God. This is a game in the mind of God. Now, I call it a game. You might call it something else, but I like to think of it as a game. I like games. Games are fun. They can be. If you know the rules of the game, they're even more fun. If you don't know the rules of the game, maybe not so much, right? Because then you could be frustrated. Well, the rules of the game have been laid out to us forever, right? In great books, books like the Bible, although it's kind of hard for a lot of people to get, including me. Books like the Quran, books like the Bhagavad Gita and the Dead Sea Scrolls, and Think and Grow Rich, and there's millions of them, right? Incredible books. So the clues, the solutions have already been laid out, and the ultimate, I'm going to share 5 quotes with you, each of which is, for me, some of the most empowering quotes or concepts, not just quotes. These are signposts pointing to the reality of our world, right? And in no particular order, when I was first learning that the system, excuse me, is controlled by psychopaths, by evil, right? Live backwards, right? The opposite of live. If you ever just want to know if somebody's on the right side or not, is what they're doing creating more life or less life, right? By their fruits, by their deeds, you shall know them, right? So is the government creating more abundance or less abundance? Well, there you go. That's the answer. The government is evil. It's on the side of evil. Now, are there many good people in government that have been deceived to work for evil and to support evil? Yes, right? In fact, all of these people that are steering Hurricane Milton, and I want to reach out. Hey, Milton, I've got a message for you. And to all of the people that are out there steering this hurricane, stop it. You're on the wrong side of history. You have been deceived to believe that people are the problem and that the government is the solution. You have been deceived to believe in overpopulation and this climate narrative. And you are working for the dark side. Stop right now. Be like Schindler in Schindler's List, right? From within the system, destroy the system by simply doing good, by simply doing what's right, right? So I learned this 17 years ago, and the first quote that I'm going to talk about here is Bill Mollison. He was the father of permaculture. And he said, though the problems of our world are increasingly complex, the solutions remain embarrassingly simple. Now, embarrassment is a shame energy. It's a low frequency. So my goal is I want to reframe that a little bit. The solutions remain joyfully simple, lovingly simple, right? And here they are. I'm not going to talk about hypotheticals. I'm going to demonstrate the solution to all of the world's biggest problems right now, right? So this isn't a secret strategy. This is it. Every one of these plants is a free energy system. Tesla eats your heart out, right? In fact, I'll say the Tesla quote right now, and I'll reframe that a little bit. Tesla is said to have said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. I'm going to reframe that a little bit. If you want to feel the secrets of God, if you want to find the secrets of God, then feel the energy, the frequency, and the vibration, right? People are always talking about these fancy new energy gadgets, right? Free energy, free energy, free energy. And yet we're missing the most obvious free energy system, right? What do we run on? What do humans run on? We run on calories, right? Our bodies. Now, there are sages and there are people out there that don't eat, and they don't need to eat because they have tuned into a bigger energy system. But you and I, well, we're still at the point where we need to eat for a little while anyway. So I'm just going to point to that fig tree. That's a fig tree right there, a little baby fig tree, just planted on the ground a year ago. That fig tree has a bunch of figs on it. Each one of those figs has a certain amount of calories, right? 10, 20, 30, 40 calories in a nice sized fig. Calories are energy for humans. And that system, that free energy system right there, will produce an exponential abundance of free energy. And not only that, but every single one of those figs has seeds in it that produce more fig trees that produce more free energy. Behind that is an avocado tree. Same thing. Jamaican cherry, mulberry, right? Sugarcane, sapote, ice cream bean. This whole thing is like reminiscent. It's my little Garden of Eden. Now, I want to show you something else to really help this sink home, right? How do you feel? Take a deep breath with me, please, and just feel this. Just look at this. Now, imagine you're standing here or sitting here. Maybe you'd like to imagine that the sun's out, right? And you're sitting here in the food forest, the dog's running by. Lily, are you wet? You're a wet girl, huh? And you're sitting here, you're walking through, you're picking some figs, some Jamaican cherries, some mulberries, some avocados. You're enjoying the butterflies, the life here. The frequency and energy is palpable. It's epic, right? How does it feel to imagine you're in that spot? Feels pretty good, doesn't it? Now, I want you to look over here. Now imagine that you're standing in the middle of that spot and there's none of this around. It's just that, right? How do you feel when you're standing there, right? Now, let's just add a lawn to it, just a lawn. Even if there's just grass, there's more grass. How do you feel when you're standing there in the grass? Well, I know how I feel. When I look at these two, the contrast is epic. When I imagine and look at that, I see opportunity because that will soon be this. But right now, it's not. So what I'm sharing with y'all is the biggest opportunity in the history of humanity. It's time to go from that. The lawn, my friends, is a travesty. It is the physical foundation of humanity's enslavement. This, my friends, is peace on earth. When we achieve mass adoption of this, of simply stewardship, of using our resources wisely, when we achieve mass adoption, we reverse all of the disease and suffering, cancer, diabetes, and heart disease, and you name it, tyranny. We destroy scarcity, which takes out fear, and trauma, which takes out war. And that's what's happening right now. We are entering a new age. This is the age, well, of enlightenment, enlightenmente, which is the exact opposite of governmente. Governmente means to control the mind. Lightmente basically means a mind free of programming and of control. Which feels better to you? A mind that's constantly thinking, anxiety and stress, and all the different programs that come from the programs on the television. It's truly amazing to see how it all is coming. Oh, look at this. So we're doing some cleanup. I just want to show you this. There's Carlos with the tractor, and he's putting some of our roofing material into some of these bins there for storage, because we don't want anything flying around, right? So those are two of the quotes, right? The joyfully simple solution is nature. If you want to find the secrets of God, feel the energy, frequency, and vibration. And then the next layer is Buckminster Fuller's quote. He said, if you cannot change things by fighting the existing reality. Instead, build a new model that makes the current model obsolete. Well, this isn't a new model. The Garden of Eden is the oldest story in many good books. The Garden of Eden, a place of radical abundance and habitat and beauty and joy and butterflies and honey and bird songs. It's like a symphony of life, my friends. So how do we do it? What's next? How do we build this new model? Well, this is where Dr. Martin Luther King's quote comes in. He said, those who love peace must learn to organize as effectively as those who love war. What does that mean? How do we do that? Organize around what? Well, number one is, and this is Sun Tzu, The Art of War, know thyself, know thy enemy, 1,000 battles, 1,000 victories. Know thyself. When you know who you are a character in the mind of God, and you are part of God. The ego, edging God out, is the illusion of separation from God. Right? So, who are we really? Well, we're part of the divine. So, allow your ego and your ego mind, the mind that has enslaved you, allow it to just relax. In fact, this is a fun way to reframe that, because egos don't want to do that. Egos want to hold on to their ego because they've spent so much time cultivating it and building it with all your belief systems, which are all BS, by the way. They're all filters for the truth. Every belief system, every judgment, all the values that we hold, all these things, whether they're serving or not, they're still filters for reality. And they can be used wisely, they can be used as filters that benefit your life, right? So create your own belief systems instead of having the programs of scarcity and shame and humiliation and all of these things that are on the TV all the time. Instead of having them program your reality, you program your own mind, your own reality. So, so how do we organize? Well, we start by knowing who we are, and we then have faith and courage. And a brief backstory, we built 10 homes here without complying with the government at all. We did not ask the government's permission to build these homes. Kill it, darn. We've had a lot of rain, so a couple mosquitoes out here. It's really not so bad, all things considered. So how do we organize effectively around what? This is so simple that it's gonna maybe blow your mind, and you'll be like, that just can't be that simple. Yes, it is. Presence, and then taking action, taking the poisons out, right? The poisons in your food and the poisons in your diet of consumption, whether it's something you put in your mouth or something you put in your brain, it's consumption. And a lot of times those things go down to your heart and your stomach. Take the poisons out and free your heart and free your stomach of those toxins. And when you do that, you'll be able to think more clearly. The governmente will no longer have control of your mind, right? So the next layer then is, as we be the change, the Gandhi sentiment, the concept, be the change, right? That's what we are doing here at Galt's Landing, living completely off grid. And we're still learning. I still don't know how to cook much, right? I still don't know how to do a lot of things. And I'm ignorant in infinite ways. Like, it's ridiculous how ignorant I am in so many ways. Like using this little device here, the apple with a bite out of it, right? The first apples were sold for $666.66. The tree of knowledge of good and evil that they want to put in your hand or your forehead, right? To control everything that you do, even what you think, right? And then the Bill Gates, Microsoft patent, you can check this out. All this stuff is public knowledge. It's human bodily activity and cryptocurrency. They want to turn us into batteries where they control every aspect of our thought and our actions. And then they benefit from that control. That's why they're trying to depopulate us right now, because now they have computers, they have robots, they have things that can take the place of humans. And they're like, we don't need the slaves anymore. We now have robots that can do all that work. So let's get rid of 90% of the slaves. No, I don't want that to happen. And neither do you. So be the change in your heart and your mind and in your stomach. And then start talking to your friends. Be an influencer. This is the next phase. Phase 1 is to take the poisons out and use our resources, our energy wisely. Step 2 is to become an influencer. Once you are the change, right? Or at least on the path of being the change, then you become an influencer and you show people. You don't just blah, 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 blah. No, you say, people say, gosh, you're doing good. You're feeling live. Your life is more vibrant. You've got good energy. Yeah, and here's what I'm doing. I've, for the most part, taken the poisons out. And I'm stewarding my land in a way that creates exponential free energy, right? Everybody can do this wherever you are. We are working with homeless people right now. And these homeless folks we're giving them sweet potatoes and other food crops, and they're planting them in certain areas around where homeless people need food, right? So everybody could do this. And then as you become an influencer, start sharing the solution. Take the poisons out and be the stewards of our energy again. And then we influence and we bring in the current structures that are causing so much harm and suffering. For instance, we are working with Andre Norman and Will Dunn. They have founded Second Chance University. which is already the largest university in the world with over 650,000 inmates enrolled in Second Chance University. Why is this relevant? Because it has been proven time and time again, when inmates take the poisons out and grow some of their own food, even with the poisons in, and I don't know the poison part, I'm going to kind of retract that and say, when inmates participate in gardening programs and grow some of their own food, the recidivism, the reincarceration rate falls by more than 60%. And when we add on trauma healing to that, we can have a reduction in crime by more than 90%. Man, I got the itchy nose thing going on. My mom also always said, my nose itches. I got to kiss a fool. I don't know where that came from, but it's kind of funny. So what will happen when the prisons do the most logical thing they could ever do? The inmates who have plenty of time on their hands start growing some of their own food. We will see the end of the majority of crime. Like, that's huge, right? So then next steps, schools. And by the way, folks, this is happening at scale right now. That's why I'm so excited, right? I'm inviting you to be part of it. For you in your local neighborhood, be part of this right now, right? The systems, the supply chain is collapsing, and it might be collapsing this week or next week. It won't be long. It might be months. I don't think it'll be years, but I could be wrong on that. But either way, we know that it's unsustainable, and all unsustainable systems fail. So you either fix it now or maybe too late. So let's just do it now. And it's good in every way. Like, just walking out in the food forest is a healing experience, right? The ultimate med bed is laying in the moss in the food forest. That is, I am fairly certain, and I'll be happy to test the results out with the med bed guys. I'm a fan of the med beds, by the way. I think all that technology that can help heal is wonderful. I think the ultimate technology is a diversified food forest where you just lay in the grass and you breathe and you eat from the land. Let thy food be thy medicine. Let thy medicine be thy food. So the other one last quote that I want to get in, and more will come probably, but it's not just a quote, like, it's a concept. There's a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill studied the most successful people in the world. And after decades of studying these manifestors, he deducted whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Okay, wait a minute. Let's do that again. Whatever my mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. So my mind, right, Jim Gale's ego mind, cannot conceive and believe, right? I can conceive of being an NBA basketball player, but I can't believe it. I can conceive of being able to fly, but I don't believe it. I can conceive of a lot of things, but I don't also believe all those things. Here's what I can conceive and believe. I can conceive and believe that we are going to catalyze a shift in awareness that leads to mass adoption of enlightenment, of stewardship, of taking the poisons out and growing food instead of lawns. This is the biggest opportunity in the history of the world, my friends. We are integrating the schools, the prisons, the churches. We've got world leaders in prison reform. We've got John Gatto's co-author in education reform, right? John Gatto, if you don't know him, he won a lot of prizes as best teacher of the teacher of the year. And so we have got pastors. In fact, if you know any educators at a high level, or anyone, actually, if you want to be an educator. In fact, I'm going to give you a business model right now that will have a massive beneficial impact in your community. And we want to do one here at Galt's Landing. If you'd like to invest in a school, the first CSA school, check this school out. Well, I shouldn't say the first. I've never heard of one that does this, but there probably are schools, because this is the most logical schooling model that was downloaded to me through meditation while in the food forest. 25 kids, 3 teachers, 2 curriculum teachers, and 1 permaculture teacher, or regenerative stewardship, landscaping, gardening teacher, right? Somebody who knows how to work with the land and the animals and the bees and the fishes and all that stuff. Somebody who knows how to cultivate and build and steward natural systems, right? So the kids, the parents of the kids in this area, my buddy, his 2 kids are going to private school. It's $4,000 a month for his 2 kids to go to private school in this area, right? $2,000 a piece per month. We're talking about maybe $1,000 or $1,200 per month per student times 25. So let's just take $1,200 times 25. I believe that's like $30,000 a month. The teachers each receive about 50% more than they would receive teaching in the normal school system, whether it be public or private. The teachers' salaries are fairly consistent, right? So now we're talking about giving the teacher, the primary teacher, $100,000 a year, the assistant teacher, 50 or 60 grand a year, and the stewardship person, another 50 or 60 grand a year. Now, per month, if you break that down, that's like, let's call it $20,000 a month, right? $20,000 a month. We have $30,000 is our net. Then we have $10,000 per month left over. What? That's a lot of money. And the school is completely off grid. The students become the stewards of the nursery. So the students are out in the field for, let's say, 3 hours every day out of an 8-hour day. The students are propagating seeds. I'm telling you what, my daughter at 3 years old, she knew how to propagate a seed, to plant a seed. She knew how to grow food, or to start the process, right? The good news is food grows itself. So imagine a school, 25 kids, 3 teachers, where we now bring in a CSA model, community supported agriculture model. By the first 6 months, those students are producing all of the food that their families need to thrive. By the end of the first year, those students, right, 3 hours a day times 25 kids out in the field, let's say 2 hours a day are actually spent in the gardening, growing process, in the nursery business process. That's 50 hours a day of labor, right? And yeah, they're kids, so let's just knock it down. Let's just knock it down to 25 hours a day of labor. That's an incredible, that's 3 full-time workers working the land. By the end of year 1, there's a massive surplus of food. And where does that go? To the community. It is sold. By the end of year 2, not only are the parents not paying for school, because the school is generating so much value and so much wealth that that the parents get all of their food for free, and they're making money, right? The students are making money. The teachers are making more money. So every one of these schools becomes a business that creates massive value. And maybe they have kind of a permaculture ethic involved. Maybe they make enough money and they reinvest their surplus. So now the students, the kids, and the teachers are out in the community putting food forests in the ground all over the place, right? The students, these schools. And by the way, any 3 teachers can get together and do this. There's no patent. There's no NDA. There's no non-compete. None of that bullshit. Let's do it, my friends. If this is the only thing that we do, is we get together in groups of smart people and we create these little schools. Man, my nose is itching like crazy. I gotta just itch the heck out of it until it's done. Why is that so funny? I think good ideas are just flowing through right now. Do you feel it, by the way? Like, debate me. Is that crazy? Will that not work? We've got curriculum geniuses, like some of the best curriculum people in the world, offering their curriculum to the schools as well, right? So we're going to have the best curriculum added to the best stewardship curriculum, and these students are going to be the light for their community, right? And the parents of these schools will be so well off by investing in their child's education for the first 6 months at $1,200 a month. And by the way, in Costa Rica, where the average income might be $800 or $900 a month, you can do this. The same model where the teachers might get $1,000 a month in Costa Rica. Well, the same model can be done for whatever price matches your area, right? On Little House on the Prairie, I remember one time where the farmer didn't have any money, so he gave the teacher bags of apples. And the teacher would have rather had money, but guess what? The teacher took the apples, because that's what community does, right? We come together in communities, we create these catalysts, and every one of them becomes a free energy system for the community at scale, and everybody wins. Be the change right now. And to Milton and to everybody out there with the joystick controlling this energy system, be the change. We have the solutions. If you know anybody that works in the military, if you know anybody that works in government, if you know any influencers, it's time to come together right now and to stop this madness. Boom. In no time, we can solve all of the world's biggest problems, which will lead to, in general terms, peace on earth, my friends. Love and have a great day.